Hey guys, welcome back to the next video in this channel. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that a lot of you have been requesting. Before we do that, I was reading the comments on the Blender and Maya thing, and I want to just give my opinion really quickly about some of them. Okay, so Nicolo Mambo says that he's been using Maya for 12 years and that they have a better support than Blender. I totally take your word for it. I honestly have not encountered an issue in Maya that requires me to open a ticket and get it solved. But I do know that Blender's community has a really good success there at like solving things and just like helping each other out. So totally there with you, man. Some of you say that, yeah, you prefer Maya, some of you prefer Blender. At the end of the day, we wanted to create the video not to create a sort of like war between each other, right? Like at the end of the day, we're just artists. We all want to create awesome things, and they are tools. These are tools. You're going to need to learn your soft skills, your hard skills, and whatever tool you choose, you're going to get, you should be able to get some really cool stuff. There's another comment that I really like. Someone suggested here that that seems to be some sort of way to entirely change the key map. That would be very helpful. I haven't tried Blender in a while. Like I gave it a go like a couple of months ago, and I didn't encounter this. So I'm gonna give it definitely a try and see. Maybe what do you guys think? Should I do a series where I try to learn Blender and see how that goes? That would be interesting, right? Maybe a little bit of fun. So yeah, let's go to one of the videos that a lot of people have been asking about. Money. How much money can you make as a 3D artist? Title of the video. So here's the thing. This is a really complex question, right? Because there's a lot of nuances and a lot of factors that go into it. So I'm going to be talking about my experience. I'm going to be talking about the things that I've encountered through my growth in this industry. And then I'm going to talk about like some like big concepts that also happen in this sort of thing. So if you remember, like a couple of videos ago, we talked about how to make a living or how to get a job in the 3D industry, right? And I mentioned three specific ways that I think are like the main ones: freelance, studio work, or own studio. Okay, so a freelance artist such as myself, I go online, I post my portfolio, I get offers, or I go looking for the offers, and then we discuss pricing. As a freelance, you have two options. You either take a lump sum, like you say, hey, you know what, you want me to model a character, it's gonna cost you, just to put an example, $300, or you're gonna say, hey, this is gonna take me about 50 hours to do, and I'm gonna charge you by the hour. If you're gonna do by the hour, there are certain standards that some people have followed. Usually, when you're starting, I've seen ranges going from $20 to $40 an hour. That's roughly the range that a beginner 3D artist gets. This also depends a lot on which part of the world you're at. Like here in Mexico, unfortunately, the like entry level for a 3D artist is like $5 an hour, which is really low compared to other parts in the world. But at the same time, the cost of living here in Mexico is not as big, right? So I know, or at least from my experience, when I graduated like 5 years ago, this was roughly the hourly rate that you got. So as you can see, it's definitely way more than a minimum wage job, but also like modestly like mid-range. Like I know 3D artists, and you can look this up. Like if you just look here, like 3D artist salary, for instance, in Los Angeles, you're gonna see here that in average a 3D artist will make about 70K USD. And as you can see, it's like a bell curve, right? So some artists will get a lower rate and some artists will get a higher rate. If you want to know like the exact rate, we can calculate here real quick. So let's say it's 70K divided by 12 months, divided by 4 weeks, divided by that's 4 weeks. That's per week divided by a day divided by 8 hours. So yeah, as you can see, $36 an hour is the medium range for a 3D artist in Los Angeles, which is a really expensive city. So depending on where you're located, that's roughly the salary. When you start a position, you're usually gonna get the junior, like this is studio work. So you're usually gonna get the junior title. After about 2 to 3 years, you're gonna get just like a regular title. Instead of a junior artist, you're just gonna be like an artist. And then after, I've been told 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 years, you'll get the senior title. Sometimes, based on experience and projects, you might be able to jump ranks a little bit higher. But I've seen people in the junior, again, going between 20 and 40. Artists here between 40 all the way to 80. And senior, you can go from 80 like way higher, depending on who you are, how good you are at what you do, how famous you are, how cool your style is. There's, again, a lot of factors, the project, the budget of the project. So there's a lot of things going on. That's roughly like a general estimate. Some of these numbers might be a little bit lower because I'm not considering like the benefits that you get. So sometimes you're gonna get like health benefits and like, I don't know, like some sort of insurance and stuff. So all of that stuff, they take away from your salary, right? Because they need to pay for that stuff, and you're gonna get this is all. I don't think this includes taxes. Again, in Mexico things are a little bit different, so prices may vary, but roughly that's a ballpark estimate. Now, as a freelance artist, you don't want to be charging. This would be my advice to you. You don't want to be charging the basic like numbers to a client, and the reason is they're not going to be paying you for a health benefit or for 1Ks or any of the things that you normally do, like insurance or savings and stuff. There's no extra perks. Besides, you need to buy your own software, you need to provide your own computer, internet service, electricity. Like, there's a lot of things that go on. So this price here can very well double, sometimes even triple, depending on how intense the work is going to be. Okay, so again, everything has to do with the budget of the project and the client you're talking to, which is the next part of the lecture. And finally, as your own studio, which is where I also fall into, because I have like my own studio, I have people that work with me. We provide projects. Like, we're not only, like, I'm not only paying the salary to my artist and my own salary, we're also selling something, a product, a final thing. And of course, the earnings or the gross profit from that thing falls into the studio, and it's up to us to administrate it and make sure that we get the best out of it. So there's no ceiling. I mean, we've had projects, like very small projects, let's say like $1,000 of budget, and we've had projects of like $50,000 of budget. So there's been like really big projects and really small projects. So depending on the type of project that you're gonna work on, of course, the earnings are gonna be bigger. However, this is because you own your own studio, you're your own boss, right? You're in charge of buying the computers, buying the licenses, making sure everyone's up to date, making sure the working conditions and environment is good. So there's a lot of investment, but there's a lot of rewards. However, it's, as with everything, especially in the entrepreneur world, it's a high risk, high reward situation, right? I've had people like right now, well, not right now, but last year when the pandemic hit, our studio like took a dip. We went from having 9 artists all the way down to 4, and then we went up to 5, and then we go down to 3, and then again up to 5. So it's been like fluctuating a lot because unfortunately we don't have as much work as we had before the pandemic hit, because a lot of the thing that we did was like VR and stuff, and not everyone wants to try a VR headset right now, right? There's a lot of risk involved with that. So yeah, that's like the 3 main ranges. So you have your freelance, where you're gonna need to ask for a little bit of a higher price than the normal hourly rate would be, because you need to pay for things that a normal employee would not have to pay for. Then you have the studio work, which again, these are roughly the numbers. I encourage you to go. Glassdoor is one of the most famous things here. Like, I can look for here, for instance, like Monterey is one of the closest cities to where we're at. And you're gonna see that it's way lower. It's 13,200 pesos, which if we calculate divided by 20, it's $660 a month. Multiply that by 12. This is what a 3D artist makes here in Mexico, like a junior 3D artist. It's a little bit low compared to what you saw in LA, right? Like, it's almost 10 times lower than what someone does in the United States. But also the living costs here are way lower. So yeah, that's the general thing. So Glassdoor is a perfect way to know how much you are gonna earn. Now, we talked about this in the past video. There's a lot of different ways to earn money. You can create models, you can create content. There's a lot of people with Patreons nowadays, like doing sculptures and figures and collectibles and stuff. There's a lot of things you can do, and you're gonna get a share of whatever you sell. So I can't, that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's a little bit difficult to give you like an exact number of how much a 3D artist makes, because it's a very nuanced number. Me personally, again, I sometimes have very good months when there's like big projects, and I have side gigs that are doing some good stuff, like this, freelance, all the tutorials that we do for you guys. Like, there's a good revenue coming, and some months it's very low, there's almost nothing going on, and you have to survive with what you have saved for that. So very varied. But I'm gonna show you one little secret here, because I don't want to just talk like out of my, This is a book haven't touched it in a while, but this is a book that one of my teachers recommended when I was a student. It's called Pricing and Ethical Guidelines for the Handbook of Pricing and Ethical Guidelines by the Graphic Artists Guild. So this is the 2013 edition. I believe they send like an edition every single year. And it has a lot of information of how much things cost in the design world. So for instance, if I just like go through it, there we go. Exactly what we want. Weekly salaries of animation artists. Journey minimum, minimum reported, median average, maximum reported. So you can get a sense of how much, for instance, here at 3D Modeler, back in 2013, would in average earn $1,470 a week. So if we do the math, times 4 times 12, we get the exact same number. So this was 7 years ago. 8 years ago. So I would expect the numbers to be a little bit higher nowadays, or maybe not, depending on the pandemic and all of the economic situations, right? But you can see like this is a really good handy thing that you can get. And the reason I recommend my students and everyone this book is because you can also see how much things cost. Like if you were to produce a book, if you want to do like a play or a movie or commercial, like how much should a minute be charged for? Because that's the biggest question, right? And here's the last part of the video that I want to talk about. I consider there to be 3 main markets in the industry. Let's just open more space here. So we have what I call the casual or the family market. Not necessarily your family, but it's more like a local low-level business. And then we have the mini business. And then we have the big players. So casual family things are, you know, your sister opened a cloth store and she wants you to do a little ad for Facebook or Instagram and she doesn't know how much to pay. You're not gonna charge her, one, because it's your sister, of course. Maybe you hate your sister. I personally love mine. So if you hate your sister, you're not gonna charge her like astronomical amounts of money, right? So you're gonna be a little bit more like easy. You're gonna go, yeah, it's gonna be an easy price, right? It's gonna be a low price. And you're also not gonna, of course, do like since the business is not super big, you can't expect her to pay you as much. This is what I mean by casual family. So every time a family member or someone that's just starting a business asks me for a job, I try to price myself in a range that can like help them out, because of course they're looking for you because you can help with some sort of advertisement or design things and stuff. But also something that's, of course, rewarding for yourself. So let's put an example. So let's say someone asks for a logo, like a logo animation, 5 seconds for Instagram. I'm gonna use Mexican pesos because that's the, well, I'm gonna convert it to dollars so it's a little bit easier. So if a family member asked me for something like this, I would probably start the pitch with something like $100. It's like, give me $100 and I'll do it for you. It'll take me like a week or something. I'll do it on my free time or while I'm in between projects so that I can focus on the big stuff first. But I'll get yours done. It will be very good, and I'll ask you something that's not just like a what's the word? It's not just like a little present or something. It actually holds a little bit of value, but it's not that bad, right? Maybe this would be for like close family. Maybe a friend asks me for something here in Mexico. Again, I'll probably charge him like, I don't know, $300 for like a 5-second animation, which is a considerable amount of money here in Mexico, but it's not like super big. And I know that if they're opening a new hamburger restaurant and if they play this video in Facebook and they get like 50,000 views or something, they're going to recover this money fairly easy, right? So I know that that's a good price, again, here in Mexico. I know that in other places, prices may vary. Mini businesses, here's where things get interesting. Mini businesses is what I call a business that can be local or regional, and it's bigger. Like, you know, these guys are paying good money for their advertising, their branding and stuff like that. So you know that you can charge them like close to the appropriate amount. You're not gonna go like super high, because again, at the end of the day, they're probably just like 20 people on that company or something. It's a small company, it's a regional company, and you don't want to be like over greedy, right? So for them, I'll probably price myself at something like $2,000. Again, here in Mexico for something like this. Like, okay, I'll get you an ad, I'll do something very cool, like 2-3 characters interacting with each other, a little bit of animation here, effects, blah, 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 and there you go. You're gonna have a very nice commercial for Instagram. This is gonna get probably to 1 million or 2 million people that might buy your product, so there you go. You're gonna recover this money because it's gonna be reflected in sales, right? That's most of the time what they're looking for. And finally, the big players here, the big players, these are like world companies, like world-class companies. So if Disney were to come, it usually doesn't happen this way, but if a big company like, or actually let me give you an example of how it actually works. A couple years ago, we had a very famous company here in Mexico called Scaret. It's a venue in the Riviera Maya. It's like this like thematic park where everything is like one with the nature and stuff. And they wanted to do something really cool for their show. So they hired a big company, and then this big company hired a couple of smaller studios to do the job. That's usually how it works on the big levels. So they hired us, and on those guys, like you can go like really, really, really high on the budgets, like really high. Why? Because it's a world-class company. They're gonna go for something like really, really. I don't think that was that big, to be honest. I think for this guys it was for something like, it was like 20,000. No, 20,000 is way too much. I think this will be like, because I'm converting dollars and I'm messing up a little bit. Yeah, that's right. So this would be like 10,000. There we go. That's closer to what we got for that particular job. So yeah, depending on which kind of client you're going to be pitching to, you also need to take into account the budget, because again, how many people are going to be seeing your content, how many people are going to be experiencing with this. Now, this money might seem like a lot, and it was a lot when we did that project back. That was like 3 years ago. But not all of, like, I don't have this money on my pocket right now, of course. This was used to pay all of the artists that worked on this, all of the softwares that we use. We had to buy like extra computers because the project was a little bit bigger than what we were expecting. So there was investment to it. There was, of course, payroll and stuff. And at the end of the day, there's a nice profit margin for, of course, for the directors, in this case, me. But yeah, it's all part of the business. So money and business, it's one of those areas that we as 3D artists don't like to think about, or at least I didn't like to do that when I was a student. I just wanted to focus on the art. But you need to understand that at the end of the day, this is a job. It's an industry, and you want to make a living out of this. Unless you're doing it as a hobby, which is perfectly valid. But for those of us that want to live from this, you of course need to start developing that entrepreneurial skills to make sure that you are getting a good deal on everything. I personally like to follow a value where I will never be greedy with my clients or with my partners. Like, I always want to make things fair. Like, I know how much my work is worth, and I know how much budget they're gonna have. So I'm always gonna try to find a middle ground where we can find a good position. I will feel comfortable doing the job, and they will feel comfortable with the product. So there we go. Let us know in the comments, guys. What kind of like experiences or what kind of advice would you give to someone else? I know that out there, people who are seeing this video, there's a lot of you who are already in the industry, and maybe you have like a tip or something that you want to share with everyone else. Make sure to share it. I personally read all of the comments. Sometimes I don't answer all of them, but we try to be on top and look at what you guys are asking for. So here you go. Hope you like this video, and I'll see you back on the next one. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Bye-bye.